This spring will mark 1 year since the worst day in the history of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. 4 local law enforcement officers killed while trying to serve a warrant April 29th. It is a day that rocked this community.
Absolutely, and I sat down with CMPD Chief Jennings looking back on that deadly ambush and what has changed within his agency since that day. For Chief Jennings, 2025 marks 33 years with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department.
You're going to have your great years and you're going to have your really bad years.
And one spring day will forever mark 2024 as a bad year for CMPD. It's hard to believe it's been 8 months since the ambush. Yeah. But take me into the department a little bit. Tell me about the conversations that were being had within CMPD in the days and weeks after that day.
Yeah. A lot of the conversations were a lot of us coming together and a lot of us realizing that we can talk all the time about we put the uniform on and we don't know if we're going home or not. This brought everything to surface and said what we talk about is reality.
He says he's never seen his department come together the way they did after that day. After Officer Mia Goodwin was tragically struck and killed by a tractor trailer in 2021, he says officers noticeably looked out for each other more on interstates. He says he's seeing a similar reaction after the ambush.
When you go through tragedy like that, it plays in your mind for every call that you have now. How do you approach these calls? What could happen? Not that none of that was done before, but you have to be more vigilant now when you face tragedy like we did on April 29th.
As chief, what changed for you after the ambush?
The pressure and the weight that gets on your shoulders for an event, something that happens like that, is just astronomical. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I wouldn't wish it on any other chief, any other person. As the chief, I'm not some Superman that doesn't get affected by this. You know, I truly wanted to make sure that we were looking out for all of our people. I know there was a time there where I realized I wasn't looking out for myself. That's probably the most difficult because when you start seeing that you're making mistakes that you normally wouldn't make, that you're forgetting things, and you have to really, as a leader in the organization, have to stop and say, okay, I can't be everything to everybody. I have to also make sure I'm watching out for myself, and I have to practice what I preach when I tell people you can't take care of others unless you're taking care of yourself.
He says it's something his staff is still dealing with the help of behavioral health specialists. Despite the loss felt across his agency, he says the officers who still show up for the job every day to protect and serve us all make him proud. CMPD, he says, is resilient.
I'm leading the finest organization in the country. They were faced with the worst tragedy in the history of our agency, and we answered a call and we still continue to do our job, and that's important to me, and that meant a great deal to me.
And I definitely just want to say thank you to Chief Jennings for not only making the time for the interview, but to also just be so vulnerable about it, because he mentioned the pressure after a day like that. And of course, just the self-reflection of needing to take care of himself. But I mean, for those of us who are not in law enforcement, we all just felt the impact of that day. I mean, even here at the station, it was all hands on deck covering it. But I mean, we all just felt how heavy that was.
Yeah, it was. And you saw that one clip of him in that story,
crying.
Tears coming out of his
Absolutely.
eyes. I mean, it really is. In the interest of full disclosure, you know, my son's a detective with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police. It's a real brotherhood, sisterhood type of thing. They're very tight. This kind of thing made them tighter, but it's tough on them. It really is.
Absolutely. And again, we just appreciate Chief Jennings. And of course, we thank all of our law enforcement who continue to do the job to keep us all safe.
All right. Good interview. Really good interview there with the chief. All right, let's head outside.